What if one small pill, light as a breath and silent as a secret, could unlock the full potential of the human mind in an instant? Imagine intelligence no longer crawling forward through years of struggle, education, and chance, but erupting like a supernova inside the skull. A single swallow, and suddenly the fog lifts. Thoughts sharpen. Patterns reveal themselves. The mind stops guessing and starts seeing. Humanity would stand at the edge of a transformation so vast that history itself would feel like a prologue to something far greater. In that moment, the definition of intelligence would shatter. No longer would it be measured by grades, degrees, or genetic luck. The pill would redraw the mental landscape, collapsing the distance between genius and average, between the thinker and the dreamer. Language would become more precise, memory more faithful, and creativity more explosive. People would not merely know more, they would understand more deeply, connecting ideas across science, art, philosophy, and emotion with breathtaking speed. Civilization itself would begin to tremble under the weight of sudden brilliance. Scientific breakthroughs that once took decades might arrive in weeks. Diseases long considered incurable would be dissected and dismantled at the molecular level. Energy crises would dissolve as new systems are imagined, refined, and deployed by minds operating far beyond previous limits. Humanity's greatest challenges would no longer seem immovable, but solvable puzzles waiting for the right perspective. Education would be reborn overnight. Schools would no longer focus on memorization or repetition, but on meaning, ethics, and purpose. Children, empowered with accelerated cognition, would question everything with frightening clarity. Teachers would become guides rather than instructors, helping young minds navigate oceans of insight without drowning in them. Knowledge would no longer be hoarded, it would be explored, expanded, and shared at unprecedented depth. Yet with power comes tension. If intelligence could be enhanced instantly, who would control access to the pill? Would it be freely available, or guarded like a weapon? The possibility of inequality would loom larger than ever before. A world divided not by wealth or borders, but by cognitive enhancement, could emerge, one where enhanced minds race ahead while others are left behind, struggling to keep up with a reality that suddenly feels alien and overwhelming. Politics would be forced into a brutal evolution. Lies would become harder to sell. Manipulation would be dissected in real time by sharpened minds that see through rhetoric and illusion. Leaders would be held to impossible standards of logic, consistency, and moral clarity. Governments might collapse under the pressure of a population that can no longer be distracted or deceived, demanding systems that actually work. Art and culture would explode into unfamiliar territory. Music would weave mathematical precision with raw emotion. Stories would carry layers of meaning so dense they could be explored for lifetimes. Films, paintings, and poems would no longer merely entertain, they would challenge the mind, stretch perception, and reshape identity. Creativity would not vanish under intelligence, it would mutate into something richer, stranger, and more profound. But there would be a hidden cost lurking beneath the brilliance. Greater intelligence does not guarantee greater happiness. Enhanced minds might feel the weight of reality more intensely, perceiving suffering, injustice, and existential uncertainty with unbearable clarity. The same pill that grants insight could strip away comforting illusions, leaving people wrestling with questions that have no easy answers. Human relationships would change in unpredictable ways. Conversations would deepen, but patience might thin. Love could become more complex, driven by intense emotional awareness and piercing honesty. Misunderstandings might decrease, yet emotional distance could grow if minds evolve faster than hearts can adapt. The challenge would no longer be communication, but compassion. Religion and philosophy would face their greatest trial. Enhanced intelligence could dismantle dogma while simultaneously reviving spiritual curiosity. People might seek meaning not in blind belief, but in deeply reasoned wonder. Ancient questions about purpose, consciousness, and existence would resurface with new urgency, examined through minds capable of navigating both logic and awe. The workplace would undergo a seismic shift. Traditional jobs might vanish as enhanced humans automate, optimize, and reinvent entire industries. Value would no longer come from effort alone, but from originality, ethics, and vision. Society would be forced to redefine purpose beyond labor, asking what it truly means to live a meaningful life in a world where thinking itself has been amplified. Even conflict and warfare would be transformed. Enhanced intelligence could make war obsolete, exposing its inefficiency and moral bankruptcy with brutal clarity. Or it could make it more terrifying, as strategic brilliance accelerates destruction beyond comprehension. The pill would not decide humanity's fate.
At its core, the pill would act as a mirror. It would not make humans better by default, it would make them more themselves. Compassionate minds would become visionary healers. Cruel minds could become calculating tyrants. The amplification of intelligence would magnify intent, revealing the true nature of humanity on a global scale. The greatest question would not be whether we could create such a pill, but whether we are ready to face what it would reveal. Intelligence can light the path forward, but it cannot choose the direction. That responsibility would remain terrifyingly human, resting not in chemistry or technology, but in the values we decide to carry into a suddenly brilliant future. Beyond all speculation, the pill would force humanity to confront time itself. With accelerated intelligence, perception of the future would sharpen, allowing people to see long-term consequences with uncomfortable precision. Short-term gratification would lose its charm as minds grasp the ripple effects of every action across generations. Humanity might finally mature, shifting from a species that reacts to one that anticipates, plans, and protects what has not yet been born. Language would evolve at a stunning pace. Words as we know them might feel too slow, too blunt to carry the density of thought now possible. New forms of expression would emerge, hybrid languages woven from symbols, sound, mathematics, and emotion. Communication would no longer be limited to speech alone, but become an almost telepathic exchange of complex ideas, compressing hours of explanation into moments of shared understanding. Nature itself could experience a renaissance. Enhanced intelligence would reveal ecosystems as intricate equations of balance rather than resources to be consumed. Humans might finally learn how to coexist rather than dominate, designing cities that breathe with the planet instead of suffocating it. Extinction could be reversed, climate chaos stabilized, and Earth treated not as property, but as a living system deserving reverence and care. Yet rebellion would arise in unexpected places. Some would reject the pill entirely, choosing imperfection over enhancement, mystery over mastery. They would argue that struggle gives meaning, that limits shape character, and that a world without mental friction risks becoming hollow. This divide would ignite a cultural war between those who embrace evolution and those who protect humanity's raw, unaltered essence. Identity would become fluid and deeply questioned. If intelligence can be altered in an instant, who are we really? Are we defined by our natural minds or by what we choose to become? People might reinvent themselves multiple times throughout life, treating identity as a living process rather than a fixed label. The self would no longer be discovered, it would be deliberately designed. Death, too, would be re-examined. Enhanced minds might unlock radical breakthroughs in longevity, consciousness preservation, or even the nature of mortality itself. The fear of death could fade, replaced by new anxieties about purpose in extended existence. Living longer would demand deeper reasons to live, forcing humanity to confront meaning on a scale it has never faced before. Ultimately, the pill would not mark the end of the human story, but the beginning of its most dangerous chapter. A chapter where ignorance can no longer be blamed, where every failure is a choice, and every success a reflection of collective will. In a world